Good morning. Hello, everybody. How's it going today? So, I'm a little bit late today. Sorry about that. I hope you're all doing really well. So, what we're going to do here is what I had mentioned in the postings previously is we're going to take some Q&A. All right, we're going to take questions about Parkinson's. What I'd like you to do is put your questions in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer any questions you have. So, today we're actually going to talk about dopamine, the many roles of dopamine. And I'm sure that you have, well, if we're talking about Parkinson's, then you may be familiar with the fact that dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is diminished in production in a person living with Parkinson's disease. And it's because, hold on one second here, I want to make sure we're live to the public. Okay, yes, we are. So with dopamine, this neurotransmitter, I'd like to talk about how it might affect a person, or typically affects a person with Parkinson's, but also how dopamine plays many other roles for all of us, Parkinson's or no Parkinson's. All right, so when we look at Parkinson's, and again, if you have questions, just type them in the comment box. We'll be on here for about a half an hour discussing dopamine and Parkinson's. Then what we're looking at is an area of the brain called the substantia nigra. All right, it's in the midbrain. It's housed inside the basal ganglia. The substantia nigra in Parkinson's, there are brain cells they're dying. Basically, they're no longer functioning. And the problem with that is that in that area of the brain, um, a lot of dopamine is produced. Right, so the substantia nigra is a very primal and old movement control center for us humans, right? Well, why is this important to know about? Because as this part of the brain is losing brain cells, okay, and because those brain cells produce dopamine, well, if we have less dopamine, then we have less neurotransmitter to go between brain regions and throughout the nervous systems, I should say, central, brainstem, down the spinal cord, into the peripheral nervous system, telling our body what to do. So this is where movement is oftentimes affected because of the lack of the neurotransmitter. There isn't enough there. All right, so what do we do about it? Well, we know that we have dopamine replacement medications. We have things like levodopa, carbidopa, Cinemet, and these can be very effective in helping to replace dopamine, to give us dopamine so that we can have on periods, on period being when you're moving better. All right. There are things that can enhance the effectiveness of these dopamine replacement medications. For example, exercise. All right. Getting out, going for a brisk walk, going for a run if you can run, bicycling, swimming, and pretty much any kind of exercise that'll elevate the heart rate somewhat is going to help to get blood and oxygen to the brain. All right, that's a good thing. First of all, blood and oxygen to the brain, and then also to help assimilate the replacement medications more quickly. So as we get our heart rate up, we're assimilating. I'm sorry, getting distracted here. So as we get the heart rate up, what happens is the medication there'll be a higher uptake of the medication. So it gets into the system faster and it stays longer. This is great. Instead of having, let's just say, your typical on period with dopamine replacement, maybe it's 90 minutes or 2 hours. Well, maybe it's another 30 to 60 minutes you get out of it. Or maybe it's 3 hours, but you get 4 hours out of it. Whatever it is, exercise is going to help to increase the uptake and the effectiveness and how long this dopamine replacement medication will last. But it's also more than just a neurotransmitter, right? So, have you ever known somebody, let's say, with Parkinson's or maybe progressive supranuclear palsy or multiple system atrophy, but Parkinson's is kind of like the most common of all those movement disorders. You ever known anyone who has Parkinson's who's they just don't have that motivation? I hear it all the time. I come into meet a new person, and maybe I remember the classic example is gentleman comes in, his wife comes in the first time with him, and I go through a series of questions and finding out more about them and what he does, this and that. What is he doing now for exercise, if anything? What activities? And the wife says, he has no motivation. We can't get him to get off the couch. Well, there's probably a reason for that. Could be lack of dopamine. Because dopamine is more than just a neurotransmitter. It's more than something that circulates between brain regions. It's actually produced in various parts of the body. But if you don't have enough, you might not be motivated to do anything. All right, so that can be a lot of us. All right. So let's kind of talk about some of the roles that it plays. All right, so we have the neurotransmitter element of it. By the way, throughout this, I'll be painting with a relatively broad brush because most of what I'm going to talk to you about applies to a lot of people, but not everyone. Okay, so it's kind of like a generally speaking type of thing. All right, well, we have the neurotransmitter element of dopamine, chemical messenger, brain telling parts of the body what to do. All right, what else does it do? Well, it can give us feelings of reward. We're going to go into detail on a lot of this. It can give us the feeling of pleasure or euphoria. Who doesn't like that? All right, my son and I, he's a doctor. I'm bragging. We talk about how my father, my son, and me, we're all dopamine addicts. We love to feel good. We love to get that feel good feeling, but who doesn't, right? All right. So, what are examples? Okay, well, as a primal neurotransmitter, a primal part of our human brain, it has to do with it used to be hunter gatherer. Dopamine's the thing that would drive you. All right, it drives you. Dopamine is actually focused on the future. All right, dopamine's always on the run. It wants to move you forward. It's part of anticipation. It's part of planning. All right. I have a lot of notes here, and I want to make sure I go in a relatively sensible order. So, reward, pleasure, euphoria. Well, going back to primal hunter gatherer, well, dopamine's the thing that's going to get you up to go out and hunt, right? Or get your food, whatever it's hunting or not hunting it, picking things off of trees and eating them, whatever it is. You need to eat. It's primal. Sex, reproduction. There'd be no babies in the world if we didn't have dopamine, because that's a big part of the drive towards mating. All right. Eating. Well, I already said eating. So we got reward, pleasure, euphoria, primal survival instincts. All right. It's what they call in this really, really great book, and sorry I can't remember the author's name, but it's called The Molecule of More. The Molecule of More. I would highly recommend that you buy this book and then go online and maybe check out some YouTube interviews with the authors. It's an amazing book that really breaks it down and describes a lot of things, from primal things to movement issues to addictions. Okay, it's a big player in the addiction area. All right, so it has a lot to do with love, creativity, goals. All right, so we were talking about primal. Well, primal was primal, right? We still have primal because we're human. So we just have this, we're wired up with primal instincts to eat, reproduce, survive. But evolution and technology and everything, this has changed things over the years. For a lot of people, we don't have to really worry so much about where the next meal is coming from. Some people do, and you see these lines miles long during this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, where the food banks they're giving away food, and people are lining up and they're waiting 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours for food. I'm very, very lucky. I'm not in that position. I don't have to worry about where my next meal comes from. And most of us don't. Okay. I said generally speaking in the beginning. Remember that? Okay. So that's because this is generally how it is. It's not like we all have to go out. We have to carve an arrow and then shoot it, or a spear, and spear something, a fish, deer, whatever it is, and then drag it back and butcher it and eat it. We don't have to do that. We can, but that's a choice, usually, for most of us. All right, so, but dopamine always needs something to do. It is designed to maximize future resources. This is dopamine's, and I just realized it's a typo in my thing here. Well, whatever. It's dopamine needs something to do. It always wants to propel you forward. It is designed to maximize future resources. It is 100% focused on the future. Okay, so this can explain a few things. Now, again, we were talking about lack of dopamine, which can equal lack of motivation. And let's say people with Parkinson's, MSA, PSP, maybe. Dopamine can be good. Dopamine can be bad. All right, but it's definitely something that it makes you want more. All right, so love, let's just break it down into categories. Love or lust and dopamine. Have you ever been in a situation where you meet somebody and you just, oh my gosh, he's the one, she's the one. You're in love. How long does it last? Does it last forever? Is it going to last you like 50 years, 100 years, 70 years? No, it usually lasts maybe 9 months to a year. That's what the law of the statistics say. All right, so it goes away. There are people out there who say, well, I can't have a long-term relationship. You know, I've had so many relationships, I can't have a long-term relationship. Excuse me one second. Coffee is something that gives me dopamine. I can tell you that for sure. All right, so this lust is going to fade after a while. Okay, it's going to fade. Well, what are you going to do? We'll talk about that in a minute. All right. Achieving a goal. So have you ever noticed this? You set a plan to do something, and maybe it's get a degree. Maybe it's something really simple. Maybe it's just, I'm not saying it's easy, but run a 5K race or something like that. You're training for it. You've never run before. This was me a few years ago. Back in 2005, I started running. And so the training was much more exciting than finishing the race, because I was always anticipating the race. So anticipation's a big deal when it comes to dopamine. Dopamine is actually part of this whole process and this pathway to get you towards the thing that you desire. It's the molecule of desire, whether it's another person, a goal, a meal, a cup of coffee. It can be so many different things. It's about anticipation. You're anticipating, this 5K, this cup of coffee. Oh, I can't wait to see this person again. I can't wait to get my degree. I can't wait to get my diploma. I can't wait to get this award. Well, that's dopamine. That's dopamine that's driving this. Okay, how about this? An object. A car. You ever want a new car, and then you get car shopping, and then you're like, oh man, I gotta have a car. I gotta have a car. And now I got like 3 cars I'm down to that I want, even though there's 50 that I really love. I can afford these. These will work for me, my family, whatever it is. And then you get the car. You buy it. The next day you're going to pick it up at the dealer. Do you ever have buyer's remorse? How about a house? That's a big deal. That's a big ticket item. For most people, that's the most money they're going to spend in their life is on a house. Buyer's remorse is a real thing. Dopamine drove you to look for, find the perfect car, the perfect house. You make an offer, you get a deal, you sign a contract, and boom. Holy crap, what did I just do? Because now I've got it, and I'm no longer driven to get it because I have it. I mean, again, a lot of times you buy something and you're very happy for a while. The newness tends to fade. The newness of the car, that's gonna fade. Now, do I like my car? Yeah, I love my car. I bought it used. I love it. Am I excited to get another car? Yeah, I can think of like 100 different cars I'd like to get. How happy am I going to be after I have that car for like 2, 3, 4, 5 months? Yeah, about as happy as I am now, right? Because it fades, it goes away. This is where maturity comes in, folks. This is where, let's say, we go back to the love category. In fact, when we talk about the category of love or anything that we desire and then we get what we desire, we're after that particular person and they love us and we love them and boom, there it is, and it's all magical for 9 months, a year, whatever. Or we get the car, we get the house. The feeling's going to be there for a while. However, it's going to change. It's going to go away. It's just the way we're wired. So how are we going to make this? How are we going to make it special after that? Well, it's what we call the here and now circuits. All right. You got things like, let's say, oxytocin, serotonin. All right. These are the things. These are the chemicals that are going to make it last. Especially when you get into a relationship. We can take this further. We can get into exercise. All right. Well, I was going to save that for a little while from now, but we're moving along pretty quick, just a few more minutes. You ever have this thought? My son and I joke about this all the time. It's actually kind of a fun little joke. One time he was doing his MD and he did his PhD, both MD, PhD, is Hershey Penn State, right? So I'm teaching down in Washington, D.C., one of my Parkinson's programs, and I think I was coming home and I decided, I'd stop see him, so I stayed with him for a night. And I got there like in the morning or something, drove up from D.C., and it's like lunchtime when you say, "Hey, Dad, the Harrisburg Symphony is going to be playing tonight on the front lawn of Hershey Medical Center," which the nice symphony, beautiful setting. The front lawn of Hershey Medical Center, the whole medical center is really impressive to look at. I love it there. So, anyways, yeah, let's go. Sure. So it's 7 p.m. is the start time for the performance, right? And it's like 6:45, and we can walk there or ride our bicycles there in like 10 minutes max. We look at each other. He said, "Well, how do you feel about going to it?" Like, I don't know. I guess I don't really want to go. He says, "I don't either." So we joke about this. The idea of going was actually better than going, probably. I don't know. We didn't go, but I think if I went, I would have been bored because I've seen lots of symphonies. I used to play classical music all the time, and I didn't enjoy it. I think I would now more than I used to, but still. The idea of doing something is oftentimes so much better than the thing itself. All right. The idea of getting the thing, the diploma, the degree, the certification, the reward, whatever it is, a lot of times the journey to get there is better than achieving the goal or getting the thing. And so I talk about this a lot. First of all, when it comes to exercise, if you start to do exercise, you'll probably get the energy to do exercise. Now, I'm famous for saying this. You probably heard it before. Seldom does the urge ever come upon me to work out and to exercise. I never feel like it. I would much rather be reading, writing, researching, learning things. I like news. Now, I have a problem lately with all that's going on. I'm a news junkie. I can't get enough of the news. So I'm taking a break from it. I still get it every day, but I just do it here and there because basically it's the same news all day long. But the news gives me dopamine, right? And I want more. Remember, it's the molecule of more. So the news gives me dopamine. Well, let's keep going. If we can attach a reward to the effort of doing something, all right. So for me, like writing the book, I wrote a book. It came out last year, and I've got another one coming out in 3 weeks, February 1st. This one's called Parkinson's Regeneration Training. The next one is called Parkinson's Empowerment Training. They have about 15 stories from people with Parkinson's, caregivers, doctors, physical therapists, and trainers who have shared inspiring contributions, stories to the book. But we're going to go more into detail about neuroplasticity and how to optimize it. We're going into the role of dopamine and how to create it, how to use it to your advantage, right? We'll go into other details too. The writing of this book, while is very time consuming, I actually enjoy that more than I'll enjoy it when the book comes out. Okay. Why? Well, when it comes out, I need something more to do. Dopamine wants me to do more. There's dopamine that's just in there. And, you can probably create more dopamine, but it's more like you're activating the dopamine circuits. Okay? You have to activate the circuits that fire up the dopamine so you have more dopamine activity. Well, this gives me the dopamine. Now, the other thing that gives me dopamine is when I check on my stats for my book sales and I see that today we already sold 3 books. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and an audio book. I get dopamine. That's a rush, man. People are buying my book. I'm so humbled and honored and grateful for this. This makes me really happy. All right. So sometimes the effort is rewarding, more rewarding than the actual thing. Sometimes the effort, the idea of the effort, for example, let's go back. Writing a book is really, I love it. It's great. Teaching, I look forward to teaching and I like the teaching. And then when it's done, I want to teach more, but I also want to learn more. When I'm done with a book, I need another book to read right away. I have to have one that day. I can't go a day without reading something. So I have a stack of books now. I always have a stack of books that this is next, this is next. Sometimes I switch them around. This is next. But whatever, I always have a next book to read. All right? This drives me forward. When it comes to exercise, though, it's different. Like I look forward to reading. I look forward to writing. I look forward to achieving that goal. So I already have, I'm already driven, and dopamine is driving me there. With exercise, though, the idea of doing it doesn't turn me on. I'm not excited, except for riding my bicycle. Now, that's something I love. I bought my first ever mountain bike last summer, and I'll tell you, I love this thing. It's got front shock absorbers. It can take a pounding, and it's easy to handle. I can't believe the gear ratios and how I can climb up these really steep hills and actually make it up the hills. I love it. I love it so much. But otherwise, I don't really want to do anything until I get started. So this is where I say to people who don't want to work out, you better start working out. You better start doing something, okay? Because you don't want to be sedentary. You don't want this lifestyle. Because once you get started with exercise, you'll get the energy to keep going. Now, one of the keys is pick something you like to do. I like to put on the gloves, boom, 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 hit the heavy bag downstairs. I like to throw the reactive training lights on them. I have Velcro, and then I'll just hit the lights as they light up. I'll challenge myself with certain things like, okay, right hand red, boom, boom, boom. Left hand green, whatever it is, or switch it up, or multiple colors. But bottom line is, I'll gamify it for myself so that I'll actually do it. But getting started, I don't really want to go downstairs and box today, but I will do it, okay? I don't want to go for a fast walk today, but I will, because as soon as I get started doing it, things fire up. Blood and oxygen to the brain. Dopamine is activated. It starts going, and then I get the energy to keep going. And then I'll go usually further than I thought I would do. I'll do more than I thought I would do. I'll do more than I set out to do. All right, so you've got two ends of the thing. Sometimes the idea of doing something is better than doing something. Sometimes the idea of doing something doesn't turn you on, and then when you do it, like exercise for me, you activate dopamine and you feel like doing it. So you have to learn, if we can learn how to manage these things, we'll create all kinds of benefits in our lives. If we can, if you don't like to exercise, and I look at it like this, I look at it as, this is me getting better. This is me improving. This is me improving my health. This is me being healthier for my family and for other people. This is me being able to serve better as a person, as a human on this planet, so that, because I like to do that. But I'm not going to do it too well if I can't do it, obviously, if I diminish in my ability to do so. So I want to keep going with it. All right. So there are exceptions, though, where the idea of doing something is equally as good. And it's going to be dependent upon you and all that kind of thing, right? For example, if I want to get Thai food, my favorite restaurant in all of the area I live around, my favorite restaurant is Bangkok Thai restaurant in Liverpool, New York, on Route 57 in the little plaza by John Glenn Boulevard, Long Branch Road. Okay, just I'm promoting them because I love them. Been going there maybe 15 years. Right now, I just pretty much do takeout. But number 27, that's my meal. 10-star Thai hot. I like it super hot. The thought of getting that is just as good as getting it. In fact, I think getting it is actually better. So it's one of those rare things. Now, seeing my granddaughter, Nora, I can't wait to see her. And then when I see her, it's better than the thought of seeing her because she, to me, has changed my life. She's so amazing. She's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Yeah, I'm totally biased, of course, but she's my granddaughter and I love her so much. So, we all have our things, right? But for those things that the idea is better than doing the thing, well, we might want to reconsider how we're going to mature into this, okay? I'm not saying that any of you are immature or anything like that, but we need to realize how dopamine works and that if we're not driven to do something that we should do, we should start doing it so we get the energy to keep going. But also, if we are on a journey to something and we can attach a reward to it, we're going to do better. We need to attach a reward to the effort. It's so important. It's so important in driving us forward. And then backing up just for a second here, I talked about my dad, my son, and me, and we always needed something to do. My dad was a really busy guy because when he finished one project, he had to have another one right away. My son's the same way. I'm the same way. This is like, we just need this, man. We always have to do something and try to be productive somehow. But the maturity factor is also really important. And I think I'm finally getting it. At 60 years old in 4 months, I'm finally at close to 60 understanding that there's a maturity factor here. And I need to activate my here and now circuits so I can appreciate. And of course, then we've got serotonin and oxytocin kicking in as chemicals that make things last. Oxytocin and serotonin can make love last. Okay? They can make enjoyment last. They can make things last longer. All right? And it's real important to know that the feeling of euphoria you may have in a situation, it's going to go away. Seldom does it stay there forever. It's just really, we're just not made like that. All right? So, it could be, we can go back to some of the things that dopamine can be a cause that are not good. Okay, well, attention from another person, however it is it love? Is it sex? Is it just admiration? Well, we probably all appreciate this, right? Especially if somebody we like is paying attention to us. It doesn't not saying you're romantically or sexually involved, but just being admired for something. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it, but I feel a little awkward because I don't know why, I just do. Getting attention from another person. So that's my experience. Is I like that, although I feel awkward about it, and I'm really not actually looking for it. I'm looking to share to help people. But if somebody shows appreciation, that's fine. I have a couple of friends I know who, they kind of been taken advantage of because they wanted attention and they got it. I'm thinking of two gentlemen that I know who got attention from women, and they may not have ever met them, and this happens to a lot of people. And then the woman's like a few days, weeks, months later, I need money. Oh, they send money. Oh, they keep being friendly and they keep getting attention, and they feel loved or liked or whatever. And I need more money. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that this can happen. And dopamine is the thing that's kicking in when you're getting that attention that you love and you're paying for, basically. Again, I'm not saying it's wrong, but some people get taken advantage of and they don't know what's going on. But they like the attention. Well, who doesn't? I mean, people generally are, well, they're humans, so But let me ask you this: what if you had the perfect robot who was indistinguishable from human, and you code that robot to love you? How are you going to feel about that? I didn't make this up, by the way. This came from the author of the Molecule of More. You're probably not going to feel too good about it because it's not a genuine, authentic love for you. You just program this thing, and then this thing loves you. And I mean, even if it's indistinguishable in every way from robot to human, well, if you know it's a robot, it's probably not going to turn you on so much because it's a robot. All right, so let's move. Dopamine. Dopamine drives the pursuit, and this is the key word. Keyword: the pursuit of pleasure, the pursuit of reward. Keyword being pursuit, and it's really, really important because, like we've talked about before here in the past 30 minutes, I'm going a little extra, probably another 10 minutes. Um, that drive forward to get the euphoria, the feeling of whatever the reward. Well, that's one thing. That's the pursuit. How do you feel when you get the thing? That's the question. All right, so going for the degree versus getting the degree, writing the book versus releasing the book. How about addiction? Addiction. Okay, I can publicly admit something here I've never done publicly. I mean, like I can't drink alcohol. All right, I just can't do it. I can't handle it. You know why? Like there's nothing better tasting to me alcohol wise than Kahlua and vodka mixed together. It just tastes good. When I started drinking them 30 something years ago, it's because the flavor was so good. I mean, they're pretty potent too, right? They'll just knock you right out. This is the one that doesn't have the cream in it, by the way. All right. It tastes unbelievably good, but I can't handle it because I want more. I want more. And I finish one. I want more. It tastes so good. I want more. And then, of course, I start to feel, a little woozy. I can't handle it, man. But that is an external creation of dopamine. That's coming from the dopamine's in you, right? But you're getting it from an outside source through a substance that you ingest in your body. Well, we can go in and we can start talking about how other things from outside can lead to addiction. Okay, and I'm no professional on addiction counseling or anything like that. I've had my own, experience with it, but drugs could be painkillers, right? It could be alcohol. It could be cocaine. It could be heroin. It could be crack. It could be, oxycodones. It could be sugar. That's legal. All right. In some states, marijuana is legal. I don't know if it's the TCB type, but I mean, I don't really know because I don't smoke it. But that is addicting. So if you tell me that it's not, you are wrong. I just want you to know that. Although there are medical marijuana that looks like it has less of an addiction factor. I don't know, but they'll use it for reducing pain, reducing anxiety, reducing other symptoms, sometimes reducing tremors and Parkinson's, whatever. Food. What kind of feeling does it give you when you eat your favorite food? How about wintertime, right? It's cold, there's snow, the refrigerator's right around the corner here in the other room. Boom, I can hit that thing. I can hit the cupboard. I can start eating snacks. I feel good. You get to feel good when you eat this stuff. Sugar's addicting though. Cigarettes. It's one of the most addicting things in the world. It's one of the most deadly. There's nothing, and I've only smoked in my life in high school for literally a few days. I had 2 packs of cigarettes total. There's nothing like that first hit off a cigarette when you inhale and you get whoom. And then you want more though. You want more. It's like I've never done cocaine or heroin, but I'm just saying from what I understand it, when you do you always want that feeling again, but it's never quite as good as the first time. Same thing with the first drink. Same thing with the first cigarette. How about Doritos? I'm going off here, right? Remember the old commercial? Jay Leno. Hey, I bet you can't eat just one. Of course you can't eat just one. You have to eat all of them. They're designed that way. It's called food engineering, food science. These foods are engineered, Doritos and so many others, for you to not stop eating them. Why? Because they have chemicals in them. You eat them, the chemical goes in, it interrupts your leptin hormone, plus all the other, I don't know all the other stuff, but you want that flavor. You want that. There's just enough salt in Coke to make you thirsty, Coca Cola, right? But there's enough sugar to make it sweet. And the sugar just covers up the taste of the salt just enough, but the salt makes you thirsty. So you keep drinking more Coke. I don't drink soda. Although I have had a Coke Zero a couple times recently, but it doesn't make me want more. Lucky if I get through a half a can. So there must be something different. I don't know. I feel guilty. It's been about a month since I had any. But even when I did, it was only like 2 cans a week. But regular Coke, the sugar, right? The caffeine, but the salt, and then the sugar that's added. There's so much sugar in that stuff in the regular sodas. Well, all this stuff just leads to interrupting the leptin hormone so that your brain doesn't know your stomach is full. That's why you'll eat all the Doritos. You have to, because why not? But you don't know you're full because the hormone got interrupted. Your brain doesn't even know your stomach is really full. You should just keep eating. Coffee. Yeah, I just drink it black, about 4 cups a day. Talked about news. I think news, even if it's bad, it can give you dopamine. And I am guilty of being a news junkie lately. And, I've cut back. I've gone through years of not watching news. Just so much going on right now. I kind of want to know some stuff. But I do. I've cut back recently, the past few days since the riots in DC. And here's the thing I know. It's actually not that important that I know the news. And here's why, because it usually doesn't affect my life that much. And if it does, I'm going to hear about it. If it's that important, somebody's going to tell me about it. All right. So, but news can give you dopamine. So, uh, if you crave a feeling, you might want to change the method that you're using to get that feeling if it's a bad feeling, right? Bad might feel good, but it's not good if you're eating 3 donuts every morning, right? Do I like donuts? Yeah, sorta. My favorite though is the Boston cream. Any from anywhere, I don't care where it comes from. Boston cream, I love it. How do I feel afterwards? I don't feel good, but I love it. If there were two, I'd want to eat 2 or 3. And a lot of people will. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, why not, right? Your brain wants it. Your body wants it. Dopamine drives you to eat it because you get dopamine when you have it, so you want more, so you have more. Unless you exercise control. All right, so dopamine and creativity. So dopamine always wants to do something new, creating things. So this is an avenue where maybe we can be productive with our dopamine desire for dopamine and that feeling that it can give us. For me, it used to be making music. I don't get it at all from music anymore, creating it, but I do get it from listening to certain music, you know. Um, I get it from researching, and I get it especially from writing. And that's when I release the next book in 3 weeks. I already have another book I'm writing. I don't know the name of it yet, but I'm writing it with a neurosurgeon. We're going to co-write this book together. And I'm really excited about it because I need to keep doing this stuff, right? So the idea of being creative, for some people it might be art. They draw or they sculpt or they do pottery or something like that. That's why this is a classic thing. In fact, man, I don't have it close here, but I was in England a couple years ago, and there's a gentleman named Ian who has generalized dystonia. So he has a lot of involuntary movement. He does pottery, and I'll tell you that here's the deal. And I don't have the data to back this up, although I'm sure I could find it and post it. But his tremors go away when he does pottery because he gets dopamine from it because it makes him feel good while he's creating this pottery. And so more dopamine is activated. So there's more dopamine activity which means that his tremors and his symptoms diminish significantly if they don't go away entirely. Well, this is actually really cool when you think about this for people with Parkinson's disease or any kind of dopamine deficiency uh, syndrome, I'll call it, even though it's not called that. Well, let's call it that. All right, so we can get good things, we can do good things, we can be creative, we can be expressive, we can help other people. Sometimes it's helping. It could be volunteering. You go somewhere, you volunteer, you help somebody. You go to Meals on Wheels and help them pack the lunches or the meals to go out on the road for delivery. Or maybe you're the delivery person, or maybe you're in the server line at the buffet at the Salvation Army or Red Cross or whatever, and people are coming in and they need food, and you give them food and you're helping. That gives me dopamine. Things like that. Although I haven't done each of those two things, I'll do other things. I've helped people in other ways who need help. It makes me feel really good, so it activates my dopamine circuits. I feel really good. All right. Dopamine can be bad too. Like we said, you can be getting it from food, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever. You can get it if you like to rob banks. Maybe you want to commit a crime and it turns you on. Well, you're going to get dopamine if you get away with it, especially. But then you're going to want to do it again because it's the molecule of more. So you want to go rob another bank, or you want to rob another person, or snatch another purse. I mean, I'm just saying, dopamine's involved in bad things too. So hopefully I think my friends watching probably aren't bank robbers or purse snatchers, but we want to find a passion. This is one of the things that's really important about, when we're talking to our students, we're talking to our children, we're talking to our friends who might be not sure where they're at right now with different things. Finding your passion is so beneficial because when you're doing what you love to do, I know it's the old saying, it's like it's not work. Well, it's like less work. But I'll tell you, I work my butt off every day. And, I'm still learning and there's work involved, but I help people and I really enjoy seeing them do better. This is my passion. I figured it out a few years ago. I was in my 50s when I figured it out. I'm 59 now, almost 60. I think I was 52 when I figured it out. It took a long time to get there, but I'm really glad that I found it. So finding a passion is great because you'll activate so much dopamine this way that maybe you'll be less likely to go get dopamine and get it created by some other source that's not good for you. Food, Doritos, coffee, cigarettes, drugs, sex. Oh, anyone who's ever had an extramarital affair and then said, like, at some later date, oh, that's the best thing I ever did. No. It usually doesn't work like that because then, you get the dopamine and the lust for a time, and then it's going to change. Things get weird, right? So finding what you love is one of the most love to do. It's one of the most beneficial things you can do. Okay. Like I said earlier, do exercises you like to do. You'll be more likely to do them, and then you'll activate more dopamine circuits while you're doing the exercise, and then that's going to make you feel good. All right. Let's see, exercise and drugs. What do I have down here? It's a change in activity, not necessarily the amount of dopamine, creating new dopamine as that what you already have there that's not activated. Exercise and drugs. I think what I meant by this is turning from one habit to another. So you'll know a lot of people who are addicted to different substances will go into doing creative things or exercise or both because that's like a replacement for the whatever they used to do that they were addicted to that was bad for them. Sometimes it's taking your activities of daily living and turning them into a challenge so that you feel good when you're done, or maybe while you're doing it, the journey to get done is rewarding and gives you dopamine. For example, a friend of mine talked recently on a webinar about he has Parkinson's, and one morning he got up early, he's shaking this bottle of, I think it's olive oil, and it caps comes off or whatever spills on the floor. It's like, well, who would want to clean up oil that's on the floor? Oil's a pain in the neck. Is no fun. Except that he changed his attitude toward it, and he's looking. It's like, well, you know what? I'm going to turn this into a challenge and an exercise, and bingo, he did. I guarantee you that dopamine was activated during that because he changed his um, outlook on it, right? So let's see. Let's go just a couple more things here. If we set goals to move better, improve cognition, and improve memory, that reward, that can be very rewarding. That journey can be very rewarding. And then we're more likely to keep doing it. And I see this all the time with people who I work with who have cognitive decline or movement issues or both. And when they start to remember better, cognition is sharper, and it can happen fast. I mean, it can actually happen within one session, believe it or not. It's true. But certainly it's going to happen within a few sessions or a few weeks. It always does. No matter where they're at, it always happens. And so that in and of itself, there's a complex like web of things that can go on. For example, you feel better because now you remember where you put your keys, or you remember better, or you're sharper, or you're moving better. But what about now you're happy because maybe whoever you live with or whoever you're around expressed their appreciation for your work and your effort. Everybody likes appreciation and admiration, right? We're all humans. This is part of our, who we are, what we are. Well, we like that. We want to please them, So pleasing people can actually create dopamine, right? It just depends upon what kind of pleasing you're looking to do. I mean, you can also be giving yourself away and self-deprecating and being taken advantage of to please others. Well, that's no good. But if you're improving yourself and you're able to make a difference in others people's lives in a positive way, well, this is really good. And it could be a caregiver situation where the caregiver is now seeing, oh, you're moving better. This is fantastic. And they get a break for a while. They don't have to help you to maybe roll over or sit to standards, whatever. So there can be a ripple effect from all this too, and then they get dopamine too. All right, so let's finish up here with just a couple other things before we're done. Whoa, I'm going to be almost an hour on this. I'm sorry, folks. I planned 30 minutes, but I got carried away. Instant gratification. Man, I'll tell you, that's a big one. I'll never forget when I moved from one house to another thinking, oh yeah, this next house, this is the answer. This is like decades ago. And it's like, after a couple months, I'm sitting on the couch and I realized, I brought myself with me. That's the problem. I brought me with me. Darn it. Yeah, the house is great, but, I'm no happier now than I was a year ago at the other house. I mean, yeah, do I like it better? Yeah. Is it nicer? Yeah, it's bigger. Yeah, it's a bigger yard. Yeah, everything's great. It's beautiful. But I was with me, and I wasn't mature enough to fire up my here and now circuits to appreciate where I was or what I had. Okay, so it's just part of that journey. It's part of learning how to maximize things. Here and now, instant gratification is such a huge thing, especially with technology, right? I mean, I'm as guilty as anybody else. I'll post something and I see like a few people watching right now. I'm excited when I look and I see, oh, 2 more people just joined. Yes, this is instant gratification. And then like all of a sudden they're all gone. Well, whatever. People probably see it eventually if they want to see it. That's fine. And plus I'm going to post on YouTube and all this other stuff. So whatever. It's part of the library that I will now have. And it's a dopamine presentation. Right? But instant gratification, you ever post something and then you ever have this reflexive thing where you're just always doing this? Oh, get the phone. Oh, gotta look at the phone. Oh, gotta look at the phone. Why? Sometimes there's nothing there. But you're so used to looking to see what's there because you can get notified about anything in the world, from the weather to the news to the text messages to the instant messenger to the likes. You ever see, like, get excited because you have like 100 likes on something. I mean, for me, that's a lot of likes on anything. 20 likes is a lot for some things. Or you post something and you think people are going to like it, but maybe you're off in your timing and it's the wrong day and the wrong time, and you don't get any likes. Like nothing. You ever disappointed from that? I know what it's like, but I don't take it seriously anymore because it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. That's not even reality. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But I will say that when I get the likes, I like that I got the likes. It activates dopamine. It does. So one person just left. I hope they liked what they saw. Maybe they left because they're busy and they have something to do. Maybe they left there because they're bored. I could make like a whole scene out of this and wonder, but that's not worth it. All right, so Facebook likes, Instagram likes, any kind of likes. How about getting new toys and gadgets? Whoa, that's a big one. Now I've been there, but I'll tell you something. I'm proud to say that the only gadget I have bought recently, which gives me a lot of dopamine, is this. I forget the name of it. Oculus, the Oculus 2.0. I love this thing. Virtual reality. I'm telling you, first of all, this is good for your brain. And I only do like 20, 30 minutes at a time because it's just all I can handle. I'm not sure why. I enjoy it when I do it. I find that there's a lot of benefits. I can challenge myself and I'll, wipe it down. Use it with clients too because it's really good for hand-eye coordination. It's good for brain health. It's good for cognitive training. And it's an interactive experience. And I love it. It can even, I've had people get in there and do a couple different games where they're moving around, and a couple of people who I work with can't walk, right? But we put this on their head, get the game, start it up. There's music, there's the interactive part, and they're moving, and their heart rate gets up. This is very good. Muy bueno. Muy bueno. So, gadgets. I lost my place here. Getting something new. Yeah, getting new stuff. Well, I think if I get this phone, I'll be better off. I'd love to get the iPhone 12. I have an iPhone 10 right now. I can guarantee I'll be excited for literally 1 or 2 days if I get the iPhone 12. So I'm not driven to get it. Would I like it? Of course I'd like it, but I'm not going to pay what it costs for that because it's not worth the payments to go along with the lack of reward for getting it. Then I'm becoming a slave to something that I had dopamine and excitement over for like 2 days. It's not worth it. I remember buying a car once and I had a really steep payment on it and I regretted it because I had to pay for that sucker for a long time. I ended up just selling it. So I'm like, oh, I'm out of here, man. This is the last time I'm doing this. And I learned my lesson. And that was almost 30 years ago. But, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just for me, it was wrong, though. Because I got through about 2 payments before I realized this is not happiness. This is just a car. Yeah, it's a really nice car, but it's just a car. So we talked about how, so here's another thing, too, when we talk about Parkinson's. And I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm just going to keep talking for a couple more minutes. I'm almost done. When it comes to Parkinson's, or let's just say a person who's taking a dopamine replacement medication like levodopa, cinnamon, carbidopa. Well, if the dosage of that medication is off, let's say it's too much, or well, it's not. I'm not qualified because I'm not a doctor. I can't say for sure, but let's just say it's not the proper dosage of this stuff. Well, this can actually lead to all kinds of things. It can lead. I know people who've gone and spent a lot of money gambling because their medication is off. And I'm sorry that I can't remember right now if it's too little or too much. It seems like it might be actually too little because they're seeking dopamine. So, but I can't say for sure. But either way, the dosage is off, and they go and they gamble because you get a feeling when you're gambling, right? Now, I don't gamble. I have never gambled other than I lost $28 one time, and I was so pissed that I played a little longer, and I got $27 I won, so I only lost $1. And I don't gamble, period. It's not worth it. Lottery ticket, yeah, $1, $2, like 3 times a year. But to me, that's not gambling because I don't go back all the time, and I don't really get any dopamine from that because I'm not pulling a handle on a one-armed bandit or playing craps or playing blackjack or anything. I just don't do it because I can't. I would lose all my money because these casinos are not built on winners' money; they're built on losers' money. You lose money when you go. You're lucky if you win. Um, so shopping, but a dosage of medication that's off, this can create hypersexuality. Actually, this can this can really lead to some problems in that area. It can lead to binge shopping. I know a lady who bought 79 purses, 79 purses because she put in bids on 97 purses on eBay because it's a molecule more. I want this. I want this purse. Oh, I want that purse. I want that. I bid on all of them, 97, and then I got 79 and I had to pay for them. And where did all the money go? The husband says. Well, she went to the neurologist and she got her dopamine medication readjusted to the proper dosage, and the urge to shop went away. So, if you have Parkinson's or any kind of, if you're a person who's on a dopamine replacement medication, you find yourself wanting to gamble, you're hypersexual, or things just aren't right, you're shopping, you're binge shopping, go to the doctor as soon as possible and make sure you get an adjustment because this will probably help you to alleviate those problems. All right. Find a passion. Yes. Okay. Do what you like to do when you exercise and drugs. I talked about that. Um, okay. Last thing here is dopamine always wants us to move forward. It creates anticipation. We use it in planning. We use it in driving forward. If you want to get up and go get something out of the fridge, dopamine's what gets you there. All right, it's a driver, it's a driving force. So I think, folks, that's just about it. I hope you got a better understanding of roles of dopamine. The bottom line is this: we have to have it, because if we don't have it, we would not survive as the human race. There would be no desire to reproduce, no desire for anything, and you have to have it. But if you don't have enough and you're lacking motivation for things, I mean, there's so many other things that can enter into it with anxiety and depression and maybe some kind of health issues you don't even know that you have that you need to find out about. It could be brain health issues. It could be brain degeneration. It could be um, um, all kinds of possibilities. But the bottom line is that to maintain a lifestyle where you're going to be reasonably happy, hopefully very happy, and being healthy emotionally, mentally, physically, and of course financial health is important too. But some people are so driven by money and they're just so good at what they do, and they get so much money that they want more money. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but is it happiness? They say money doesn't buy happiness. I don't know. I think in the times I've been struggling terribly, I wasn't as happy as I am when I'm not struggling. So feeling secure is a good thing. But I'm no expert in that area. I can't tell you. But I can tell you that money's not something that drives me. But when I found my passion, I started earning more money when I found what I like to do when I grow up, right? Which I found in my 50s, and now it's good. But the maturity factor is really important, right? So you want to plan, anticipation on whatever it is your goals are, and family goals, business goals, personal goals, health goals, whatever goals. The journey to get there is what you want to attach the reward to. Enjoy the journey, all right? But be present, I'm learning to not check my phone all the time. I mean, I do a lot of business by it, though, so I have to check it. But I don't have to check it every 2 seconds or every 1 minute, The maturity that if you develop the maturity to be able to activate your here and now circuits so that your oxytocin and your serotonin kick in, you're going to feel pretty good with those chemicals too. And so realizing that there is another set of chemicals that can kick in if you have the maturity, and I'm not talking about you're not a mature person. I'm just talking the maturity here and the knowledge and the presence to know that dopamine is going to wear off and that euphoria is going to wear off and all the feelings could wear off. But you can replace those can be replaced by the here and now circuits if you're enjoying what you do or who you are with. All right. This can help us, focusing on the now, planning positively, can help us move forward effectively. But we want to be focusing on the now in addition to thinking about the future. We want to direct our attention and pay attention and just bring your attention to the now when you need to be present. All right, when you need to be present, be present. Don't let things get in the way. That's all I have to say for today, folks. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to move on and do some work here and finish writing this second book. It's almost done. Thank you very much to all those who watched. Appreciate this very much. Today at 2 p.m., I'm going to be talking with Brett Miller. He's the founder and owner of 110 Fitness, and 110 Fitness has a fitness app now, the 110 Fitness app. At 2 o'clock today, Eastern Time, we're going to be talking about the new app and how it can help all people, but especially people with Parkinson's. It's the first ever app that we know of for Parkinson's, and it's an awesome app, and Brent's an awesome person, so I hope you join me at 2 o'clock today. Also have on Thursday night at 7:30 a webinar with my guest, Melissa Tafoya, rock steady botching coach, and more than anything, awesome human being and trainer, talking about hope is in your corner. All right. She works with people with movement disorders all the time. She's our featured speaker Thursday night. Please join us. Have a fantastic day. I'm out. Hope to see you at 2 o'clock today. Bye-bye.